if there is one thing that I could help you achieve by the end of this video as my North Star, it would be for you to walk away with a completely different perspective on how to regulate your emotions during the ups and downs that you will inevitably experience in your business, and how to make sure that you're constantly focused on the right thing. So you're moving in the right direction, because that is a lot harder, or sorry, it's a lot easier said than done, a lot harder to do than it actually is to say. So let's break this apart. I've tried to record this video a couple times and I've stopped and I've restarted because I've realized it's such an esoteric, complex type of thing to communicate. But for those of you who are currently experiencing what I know I've experienced or what I'm currently experiencing, you will get it. It'll be one of those things where the right person will understand what I'm saying. Let me give you a couple of examples. Have you ever had a day where you did all the things that you said you would do, where you were disciplined, you took the sales calls, you read the books, you worked with your coach or your mentor, you took actions, you took tough decisions, you did everything you were supposed to do. But then that day, things go wrong. You lose a client, you lose a deal, someone asks for a refund, an employee leaves, your ads don't perform, something happens and it causes you to feel shit. It just causes you to go through a downward spiral of just feeling upset, annoyed, and it just puts you in a bad spot emotionally. If you've ever experienced that, it's because you are attaching how you feel emotionally and what you're focusing on the results of today. But the problem with that is that the results of today are as a result of the actions of the version of yourself that existed yesterday. And yesterday is a figurative term. It's not yesterday's in the day before, it means in the past. It means what happened today is a result of the version of you 7 months ago, and it was on this random day that you chose not to work or not to work properly or to focus on the wrong things. That is why you had a bad day today. Now, the problem is you're going to punish your current version, and you're going to focus on feeling emotionally drained or emotionally upset for actions that you did not carry out today. So you're almost, it's almost like when they say with, like, say, dogs with puppies, when you're training a puppy, you want to punish the puppy as close to when they made the mistake as possible. But if the puppy, you come home, for example, and the puppy's peed inside the home when they shouldn't have, but it's happened like 3 hours ago, if you go and punish the puppy, they're not going to know why they got punished. It's not productive to do that. They don't understand why you're punishing them, and you'll actually confuse the puppy, right? And the same thing exists even with employees and with staff members and with children. You want to correct behavior as close to when the mistake was made as possible, because that's how we learn. Now, the problem with associating and attaching your feelings of happiness and fulfillment, and whether you had a good day or bad day based on the results of today, is that they are not going to, it's not really going to be reflective of who you are right now. And all we are, or who we are, is who we are right now. So it's not productive at all to be feeling negative as a result. Now, in the same exact way, if you start to hit a bit of a growth spurt in your business and you go through a period, which I've experienced before, where in the space of a month, you hit your inflection point and everything starts to work out better than what you expected, where you might sign a bunch of clients on at the same time, your marketing campaign really starts to get to that next level. You employ someone that is just takes your business to the next level. You work with that. You make the decision to work with a coach that just completely bridges the knowledge gap that you need to get to that next level. Whatever it is, something happens and things start working out, and you're making more money than what you expected, and you're signing on more clients. And we've all had that experience where so much goodness happens in a short period of time. Now, in the same way, they're getting caught up emotionally in a negative way due to the manifested results of today will negatively impact you because you'll be punishing a version of yourself that's already passed, you will also fall down a trap of rewarding yourself for the actions that your previous self took. And that is what creates plateau. That is what puts entrepreneurs and business owners in a position where, out of nowhere, things just get easy, right? They've been grinding for so long, they've been working so hard, and then a video goes viral, for example, or an ad campaign completely kicks off. Something happens, they figure something out, relieve a bottleneck, and then their business just gets to the next level. And then things just happen easier than what they expect. They start signing on clients easier, they get employees easier, their advertising is easier. It's like they just can't do anything wrong. People are signing on, it's easy. They just, for those who've experienced this, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but you just get into this flow where everything just starts working out for you. Now, if you sit there and you reward yourself based on that, reward today's version of yourself based on the results of today, which means, you're killing it, you have a great month, or you make more money than what you expected. And then you go, you know what? I'm going to take the week off. I'm going to take today off. I'm going to obsessively just think about how much money I'm going to make. I'm going to take that money that I'm making and I'm going to start to spend it, right? Or I'm going to stop working on myself. Like, let's say one of the things that you would do when things were tough was you would work on yourself every single day. You'd work on yourself personally as far as, say, meditating, affirmations, doing vision boards, etc. And then when things start to work out, you go, I don't need to do that stuff anymore because I'm actually now making the money. Now, what will happen is you will, for a short period of time, experience that success, right? Because the universe, God, will continue to reward you, right? Because of the actions that you took in the past. But then what will happen is your actions will then change. And then at some point that will turn because you will then get punished, right? So let's say, for example, you've worked for 12 months extremely productively. You might get a 3 or 4 month period where, no matter what you did, even if you tried to sabotage, you're just going to kill it, right? So then you start taking days off, you start getting lazy, you stop working on yourself, you start focusing on other things and spending your money, and you start getting silly. Then what's going to happen is that 4-month mark will come around, and then you will start to stagnate and go backwards, and things will just hit the fan. Shit will hit the fan, and then you'll go, oh my gosh, I now need to go back and do those things that I used to do. But then there's going to be a delayed effect to those results. So then you'll go through 3 or 4 months of things just being pure garbage, and then you'll punish yourself. As a result, you punish the version of yourself that is actually doing what it needs to be doing. In essence, what I'm trying to say is, you work today for tomorrow, and understand that the results of today are as a result of the work that you did yesterday. And tomorrow is a figurative statement for the future. And then yesterday is a figurative statement for the past. So what do we focus on day in and day out? Focus on these same things that got you to where you are today. Focus on the same things that objectively speaking, if you continue to focus on, will move you in the positive direction and move you in a positive direction. That's why it's so important to be disciplined. Now, let me give you a personal example. During the beginning of my journey, had an extremely tough financial start in business. And for those of you who've been following me for a while, you would know I had a very, very tough financial upbringing. Now, when I say tough financial upbringing, I mean $50 would cause an issue, right? It means we never took holidays. There was a period where we didn't go to visit our family in Syria for almost 10 years. So, I couldn't even, it was so weird to me growing up to later in life, like speak to, meet people at university, and they would tell me about their childhood, and I'd find out like they would go on holiday how did you guys, this is quite funny. I'd be like, how have you visited all these countries? Oh, I've been to Spain, and I've been to Italy, and I've been to the Gold Coast, and I've been here, and I've been there, and New Zealand, and Bali, and Thailand, and America. And I was like, how have you seen all these countries when you're so young, right? Because I don't expect to do my travel until later in life. That was me at 18, 19 years old. And they'd be like, oh, we used to go on holidays as kids. I never even realized or knew that going on vacations was a thing. That's not something we did, right? So growing up, I grew up in a very tough financial background, and so the beginning journey of my business journey was from 19 to 22, essentially putting myself $30,000 in credit card and personal loan debt, and making no money but grinding like a maniac every single day. 14-hour days, working as hard as I could. I'd read a bunch of books. Was going to seminars. I was investing into, mentors and coaches. I didn't have another job. So my whatever business I had at the time was what was supposed to finance my entire life. And anyone who started a business knows it takes a while for you to become profitable. So, between the business not being profitable and me not having personal income, and I just put myself into debt. Now, thankfully, after all that hard work, I hit my first growth spurt where my business really started to take off, and I made more money in a year's time than I had made for 3 years, and I paid off my debt, and I made good money, and I put myself in a good position. Now, when I went through that phase, guess what I stopped doing? I stopped reading. I stopped working with mentors and coaches. I stopped investing into myself. I stopped focusing on myself. I stopped focusing on the value. So I used to say to myself, in order for me to become worth $1 million, in order for me to make $1 million, I've got to be worth $1 million. I was very value driven. I was obsessed with Jim Rohn and asking myself every day, how do I become more valuable to the marketplace? So I focus on developing skills. I focus on becoming a better networker, a better talker, better at sales, better at marketing. All I did was just focused on increasing my value. I never worried about the money. I didn't care about the money. I just focused on becoming better. I focused on the principles. But when I started making money, my focus shifted from how do I go from 30K a month in profit to $100,000 a month in profit? And I became obsessed with that. And I started getting obsessed with not becoming worth $1 million, but actually making $1 million. And that was an issue. That was a fault. That was a problem. That was a trap, right? Because I then stopped focusing on the principles that got me to where I needed to get to in the first place. I started focusing on the vehicles that I would use. And so what did that lead me to do? Well, it led me to getting caught up with shiny object syndrome. And then I started believing the reason why I'm not where I want to be, or I wasn't hitting the levels that I wanted to hit, was actually not because I'm not talented enough or because I was distracted or I was focusing on the wrong things, but it's actually because I was in the wrong business model, which was not true. I was never in the wrong business model. I was just distracted. I started thinking, okay, this is how I'm going to get to that next level. I'm going to get into this business model. I'm going to get into e-commerce. I'm going to create an e-com agency. I'm going to buy an e-commerce business and scale my own e-commerce business myself. I'm going to get into lead generation. No, I'm actually going to sell websites. No, I'm going to do AI. No, I'm actually going to get into Web3. I became obsessed with the wrong things. I started focusing on the wrong things. And then as a result, my business stagnated, we retracted, went backwards. And then eventually I learned that lesson. And then I said, okay, I was only going to focus on one thing. I cut everything else out, cut all my side business ventures, and I just started focusing on one thing. And that's been my life for the last year and a half. And I've thankfully now really started to reap the rewards of the hard work that I put in for the last year and a half. But here's the thing. When I was going through my tough period where I was going backwards and things were getting tough, I said to myself, okay, I'm fluctuating too much emotionally. I'm doing everything I know I need to be doing, but I'm constantly punishing myself, and it's getting a lot to handle emotionally. So I went, okay, all I'm going to do now is just completely let go. I'm going to detach from everything that isn't the thing that I know, objectively speaking, will change the game for me. So what did that mean? It means I completely detached from my P&Ls. I, for the most part, honestly stopped even looking at them. I completely detached from my bank account. I completely detached from whether or not I was going to win a deal or lose a deal, win a client, lose a client. I lost the client. I was like, oh, it is what it is. I completely detached. And what I said I was going to do was just focus on what I know, that if objectively speaking took place, all my problems would be solved. And what that was building a product that changed the lives of my customers. So actually building a product that would create a business environment for me where I had a really high retention rate of my customers. Because if I knew if I did that, and I built a good product, and I built a product where I had really high retention, then I know I'm eventually going to make money, because I'll just sign clients on, and then I'll retain clients, and I'll be able to stack clients on top of them if I then started to focus on acquisition. I would go to myself, okay, objectively speaking, if I could figure out a way to acquire customers on tap, and I could build a really good customer acquisition system where I could acquire customers and spend $1, get this much back, I will be able to grow my business. I knew, objectively speaking, if I did this, I would take them to the next level. So that's what I focused on. I focused on understanding how to acquire customers on tap, right? I focused on the things that, objectively speaking, I knew if they took place, if they happened, success would come. If I built a good culture, if I built great training, if I recruited and attracted the top talent, if I built a product and service that actually produced results for my clients, if I increased my retention, and the list goes on and on. I just focused on these things. And then I started focusing on principles. Then I started focusing on the values. Then I started to actually focus day to day on not rewarding or punishing myself based on the results of today, but instead rewarding or punishing myself based on my output today. So whether or not I felt good about my day or bad about my day has nothing to do with the results of today, but instead, if I did everything I said I was going to do. Did I go to the gym? Did I wake up on time? Did I drink the water that I'm supposed to drink? Did I stay within my calorie targets? Did I do my deep work? Was I distracted? Did I go on social media? That's all I focused on. Did I do the things that I said I was going to do? And I remember this clearly, and I remember this shift taking place clearly, where my partner used to ask me, my wife used to say, "How was your day?" And I remember I would always say good or bad based on what happened that day. And the shift for me was when subconsciously, unconsciously, she would ask me, "How was your day?" And I would say, "Yeah, I had a really good day, actually. And I got everything I said I was going to get done." Even though that day I lost a client and I lost a deal, I still said I had a good day. And I rewarded myself for the actions I took that day, which is the right thing to do, right? Because I can't reward, if I had a great day, right? Where a great day being externally closed deals and made money or was profitable, whatever it is, and I reward a version of myself that worked half the day or wasn't productive, I'd be rewarding bad behavior, right? In the same way that if I had a bad day and I did everything I said I was going to do and I feel shitty about myself, I'm punishing the version of myself that did everything I was supposed to do. So the only answer is to completely detach yourself of the results of today and instead reward or punish yourself based on whether or not you did what you were supposed to do today. Did I work on what I was supposed to work on today? Was I productive? These are the things that you want to pay attention to, which kind of loops back to the concept that you just need to focus on the work and not on the outcome. Focus on the work. Do the work. Do what you know you need to do. When you go to the gym and you do a session and you train hard, you don't immediately go back home and take off your top and look in the mirror expecting for your body to have changed. That would be silly for you to do. You shouldn't even do that the next day. You shouldn't even do that a month later. The best way to go to the gym is to just go to the gym, to just work out, to keep your top on and just ignore the results. And then one day, someone will look at you and go, "Man, have you lost weight?" Or you'll have a moment where you'll take your top off, you'll be about to go into the shower, and you just catch yourself looking at yourself in the mirror and you go, "Holy shit, man, whoa, my body looks so different." That is the best way to actually produce results, when you just go to the gym for the sake of going to the gym. When I go to the gym, I don't work out, come back home, check myself in the mirror to see what results I produce. It's too soon to do that. You just let go, right? But in the same way that when I look in the mirror and I like what I see, I don't go then think, "Oh, I can take tomorrow off." Because if I take tomorrow off and I take the next week off and then I start eating unhealthy because I saw that I had a good body, guess what's going to happen? In 3 months' time, the opposite will take place. I'll look at myself one day in the mirror and go, "Shit, where'd that gut come from? That is how things need to be approached when it comes to business. So I feel like I could have communicated that better. So I do apologize, but I hope that I've gotten my point across. If I was to try and summarize what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, is I've been through really tough moments in my business. And what's gotten me out of those tough moments has been not focusing on the moment, not focusing on the results of today, but instead just focusing on the work and ignoring the results, ignoring my churn, ignoring what's happening with clients, ignoring the negatives, the losing deals. I just completely detach. Just, am I doing everything I said I was going to do? Am I focusing on the right principles? Am I working on the right things? And that's it. And if I did everything I said I was going to do, I give myself a pat on the back. Pat on the back. In the same way, though, I've also went through phases where things start working out, where you hit a growth spurt, where you check your P&Ls and you're like, holy shit, what happened here, right? Or, you employ the right people. Things just start working out. You have like a whole bunch of clients sign on at the same time. And I've had to learn that in the same way that I detached in those moments, I can't be caught up in the success of today. Again, I do what I do for the sake of the work itself. I need to detach. Again, ignore the P&Ls. Ignore the high retention. Ignore the fact that you're closing deals. Ignore the bank account increase. Ignore that stuff. Just keep focused on what you need to do. Keep doing what you need to do every day. Focus on the right values, the right principles. Now, does that mean that when you take a look at your P&Ls and you see a nice healthy number there, that you shouldn't feel good? Of course you should. Of course you should feel amazing. When you see your bank account and it's in a place where you're happy, should you feel good? Of course. Should you go and reward yourself if you hit a particular profit target? Of course. Should be actually paying attention to your P&Ls from a financial point of view and stay on top of your finances? Absolutely. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel good. What I mean is, in the day-to-day basis, don't, in the tough times, start focusing on the wrong things. And in the good times, focus on the wrong things as well. Whether or not you are going through a tough time or you're going through a good time, just make sure you spend the majority of your time working on and thinking about the things that, objectively speaking, will continue to move you in the right direction. Because if you do get distracted and you get to a point where you start succeeding and you stop doing the things that got you to that point in the first place, it's only a matter of time before you plateau or start going backwards. And that's why business journey is filled with ups and downs. I hope that video was valuable. Again, I feel like I could have communicated that a lot better, but if you've understood me, you've understood me. And if not, you can ask me questions and I'll be more than happy to clarify. I'll see you guys in the next one.